In today's video, I'm going to give you 4 tips to help you stay motivated with intermittent fasting. It's common on the weight loss journey to experience a lack of motivation. And if you find yourself starting to feel this way, it's important to take action. The problem is sometimes it's kind of like you don't know what action to take. So in this video, I'm going to give you some ideas of things you can look for. My first tip is to take a look at your goals. Many times that's where the problem is. And so when you look at your goals, you should make sure that they are clear. Now, when I say clear, I really mean specific. You know, it's very easy in the beginning to just say, I want to lose some weight. Well, you need to know about how much, and you can always change this goal if you find that, the goal was maybe too high or too low. But being specific is important, because if you're not specific, then it's easy to kind of feel like you're not really succeeding because you don't really know what you're aiming for. Also, make sure the goal is realistic. Sometimes it's like you have a goal and it's actually a good goal, but you have unreasonable expectations of yourself. Like you're trying to do it too fast, or like things like I want to lose 5 pounds a week, or I want to lose 20 pounds in a month. Those things are going to make it really difficult to succeed. And when things are too difficult, it can be really demotivating. Also, make sure the goal is something that excites you, that you are excited to achieve. Like if your goal is something that's kind of like, well, I don't really care if I hit that goal, then you're gonna have a really hard time being motivated to do it. Now let's move on to tip number 2. It might be that your goals are good and they're clear and they're reasonable and they excite you, but they might be intimidating you, which is demotivating. So, especially when you have a big amount of weight to lose, it can just feel insurmountable. And if you're feeling that way, it can paralyze you, and you might not even really be moving towards those things because it just feels too big. So what can help you get motivated in that case is to break it down into small sub-goals. So for example, if you need to lose 80 pounds, break it down into 5-pound increments and then celebrate each milestone that you pass. When you do that, you will feel like you are making progress towards your goal. And as long as you feel like you're making progress, it's going to be a lot easier to stay motivated. Right now, if you have been losing weight and maybe you're like halfway there and you're just not feeling it anymore, you're just kind of at that place where you feel like you need a break, then take a break. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like just go back to eating how you're eating and regain the weight. What I mean is just give yourself a break from weight loss and just maintain. You can maintain for like 6 months and then get back down to weight loss. Most people find that it's easier to maintain than it is to lose weight. And that can help bring that motivation back, because the weight loss journey is long, and it's important to really look at yourself and your own personality and figure out, do you need a break right now, or are you going to be better off just to keep going? Tip number 3 is to consider taking a day off every week. I call it my cheat day, but really it's just one day off from intermittent fasting every week. One thing that can feel really demotivating is when you feel like you never get a break from this, and some of us just need that break. I found that it was really helpful to have one day a week where I just ate like my family ate, like where I do have breakfast and I do have lunch and I do have dinner. And it gave me the motivation that I needed for the rest of the week to do intermittent fasting. While it is important to be consistent with your plan, there can come a point when you're too rigid, and that rigidity can just be exhausting. It can be really demotivating. And so if instead you figure out some ways to be more flexible, for me, that meant taking Sundays off. It also means that I made it flexible enough so that if things came up with my family, like we were going to go out to eat for lunch, or, we're having people in from out of town, so there's going to be, a weird kind of schedule, I would just let myself go with the flow and eat during those times, instead of just being so married to the plan that it was making me miserable. And so what ended up happening was I enjoyed the plan. So I would encourage you to make the changes to your plan that you need to make so that you can enjoy it. Because if you're enjoying the plan, a lot of times that's when the motivation will come back, because you can feel like, yeah, I can keep doing this. It doesn't feel so hard and I can keep going. And now tip number 4, be aware that fear can be a thing on the weight loss journey, and that can lead to self-sabotage. So sometimes you have a good goal and you're really specific and you have a plan and you're being consistent with that plan and you're having results and you're enjoying yourself, and yet you can find yourself losing motivation. Like you're just like, what's going on? Like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. And the thing is, weight loss can be scary, you know, like because you're changing a part of your life. You're changing how you look. And for some people, that can be really scary. I mean, sometimes you might be afraid that you're going to bring unwanted attention on yourself. Sometimes that's the reason why you put on weight in the first place, is because you were trying to not have attention. Sometimes there's just a lot of pain there, things that are going to come up for you because you are getting the weight off. So just know that that's a thing. And I would encourage you, if you do find that that's what's happening, you're self-sabotaging, find somebody to talk to. You know, it might be your spouse, it might be a best friend, it might be a priest, it might be a therapist, whoever you need to talk to figure this thing out for yourself and to move past it so that you can reach your goals and get yourself to a healthy place. I hope you found those tips helpful. I will say that, you know, not every day are you going to feel super motivated. I have found, you know, that basically you just have to decide you're going to do this. And some days you're going to feel really motivated and other days you're maybe not going to feel that motivated. But the main thing is just to keep taking action, really no matter how you feel. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.